Aloha, this is Tom Tezak with the Lifestyle Maui team, and today I would love to share our latest Maui market update. Aloha, everybody. Tom Tezak with the Lifestyle Maui team here on Maui with your Maui market update for the third quarter of 2020. So, if you're not a statistical person, you might just want to send me an email, tell me that you love me right now, and skip to the end because it's all stats, which can sort of be boring for some people. But for those of you who love stats, here we go. Hang on, because there's a lot of crazy stuff that's been happening during 2020 with COVID, the shutdown of the market, the reopening of the market. And, I'm excited to say that the Maui marketplace has held on. Now, we've lost some traction, but it has started to pick up in the third quarter, and it's been pretty crazy. So I want to say also thank you to Fidelity National Title. They've provided me with the stats you're going to see and the stats that I'm using. I'm not going to cover everything because, well, I'd be on here for a week and everybody'd be asleep. So here we go. For the first three quarters of 2020, again, during the onset of COVID, we have had a lot of activity. Most of the activity that you're going to see in the market has been in South Maui. So by unit count, 32% of all the sales have been in South Maui. Homes were 126, condos were 372, and land 6 sales for a total units of 504 sales in the first 9 months of 2020. West Maui was number 2 with 430 units, or 27%. Central was number 3 with 20% of the sales. But the interesting thing, 222 homes in Central Maui. That's where a lot of our residential properties are, and only 78 condos. So a lot of activity in the top 3. And then we had Upcountry with 10%, again, mostly homes. North Shore with 7% of our activity, again, mostly homes. And then East Maui, Hana, which is where Hana is at, 1%. So just to give you a little idea, South Maui is Kihei, Wailea, Makena. Lots of beaches, lots of resorts, lots of tourism. West Maui is Kaanapali, Lahaina, Kapalua. Again, lots of tourism, lots of beaches, lots of activity for inbound guests. That, I believe, is why we have such a high propensity of condominiums. And a lot of those condominiums that sell on those markets are vacation rentable or Airbnb condos. Central, predominantly homes around the work and business district, the airport, and the hospital. So a lot of that is that central location for homes. And the other thing that's important to realize with Central Maui, a lot of people that live there, possibly a lot of them work in the service industry. Some of them will go to the west side, to the Lahaina Resort District, and some of them will go to the south side. So living in Wailuku, it puts them right in the middle of the two resort districts, which makes it a pretty desirable place for our local residents who work in the service industry to live. I'm going to give you some more details. If you want this information, you want all the details, shoot me an email, and I'll send you the data that we're covering. So, all right, next. So let's dive a little deeper into the statistics and give an idea of how it compares to last year, 2019 versus 2020 in the first 9 months. So as you would imagine, our sales are down, the numbers are down, but some of the information will see some increases. So when it comes to closings of homes, we are down 11% compared to last year. In the big scheme of things, I think that's pretty reasonable in the 9 months' time. Our median price, however, has gone up by 2% to $772,500 for homes. When it comes to condos, that took a bit of a bigger hit. We're down 24% on condos, but the median price went up even more by 10% to $565,000, and that is all around the island. So it's really fascinating to see, although the sales have gone down, prices have gone up. I think we're seeing a demand and a desire for people to be here. We're also seeing a reduction in inventory, which we're not showing in any of the statistics that I have. It's just what I know and what I've been sharing if you've been following me on any of my other shows. So let's talk about number of sales in a couple different markets. Central, we went from 152 sales down to 138 sales. I'm sorry. That was backwards. We went from 138 sales in Central up to 152 sales. So our central Maui marketplace has actually went higher than the rest of the market, with an increase by 10% of sales. For South Maui, which is one of the markets that I focus on, we have seen a decrease in unit count. Kihei went from 92 sales to 92 sales this year compared to 115 last year, down 20%. Wailea and Makena went from 23 sales to 22 sales, so almost identical with a small 4% decrease. And Maui Meadows went down 20% from 15 sales to 12 sales. So we're not talking about a lot of sales here, but it has been impacted. So again, it's really important to see how things are changing, how our different markets are acting. And we're seeing most of our markets in Maui have gone down. The only one I wanted to point out was Wailuku, where it in fact went up as far as unit count goes. All right, let's talk about something else. So we just talked about home sales. Now let's talk about how condominium sales have been acting in the Maui marketplace. So condominium sales in Wailuku and Kahului are pretty much down, with a total of about 33% in those two market areas on condos. But when we look at condo sales in Kihei, they're down nearly 40%, from 456 to 276 sales so far this year. And the question is why? Again, it's back to the resort market. The resort condominiums have pretty much fallen flat during the COVID-19 crisis, and most of the sales that we're seeing are the residential style condos. So quite an impact that we've had, with the exception of Walilea, which is fascinating. Walilea is right over by the harbor in the center of the island. That location has been just going crazy, and I think it's a function of price. They tend to be lower price points on the water in Walilea for vacation rentable properties. We went from 20 sales last year at this time to 30 sales this year, with an increase of 50% and an increase in value of dollar-wise by 36%. So substantial activity in Walilea. There's also another thing to note, there's quite a few leasehold properties in Walilea, and we're seeing a little bit more activity on those. And then Wailea and Makena, again, got beat up quite a bit. They're down 35% on condominium sales, from 101 sales to 66 sales so far this year. And this is, again, statistics for the first 9 months of this year compared to the first 9 months of 2019. On the west side, another resort district, Ka'anapali, also down, went from 117, or I'm sorry, they're up from 27%, from 92 sales to 117 sales. Now, the Ka'anapali market was down for the last couple of years, so we've seen a spike in that, which is good for them. But the Kapalua market is pretty off, with 58% dump in price, or in 58%. Boy, that was hard to say. A 58% reduction in sales. And then the Lahaina market was up 46%. So over on the west side, there's been really strong activity, showing a lot of activity through the vacation rental markets, where there's a lot of condos and residential condos there as well. So next, I want to talk about the top 10 markets in the different categories. Okay, so what does this all mean to you if you're a buyer or a seller in Maui? We'd like to talk about the top 10 categories or areas in each type of property: residential, condominium, and vacant land. So in residential, we broke it out into the top 10 areas, and the number one area in residential, as I mentioned earlier, was Wailuku, with $110 million in sales overall. Kihei, $97 million in sales. Wailea and Makena with $78 million in sales. So those have been the three most active markets, and it goes down Haiku, Kula, Kahului, Napili, Lahaina, Makawao, and then Ka'anapali. So really interesting to see where the activity is. That's where the buyers are going, where they're spending money. With condominiums, it's a little different. Ka'anapali was number one with $169 million in sales. Kihei was number two with $163 million in sales. And Wailea and Makena was number three with $114 million in sales. So Wailea and Kihei were in the top two on both of those categories. Next, we'll talk about vacant land. And the top three in the vacant land were Kula, which is upcountry, Haiku, which is North Shore, And Kapalua, again, Kapalua was slow on a lot of other areas, but strong in vacant land. There was $20 million in vacant land in upcountry, $15 million in Haiku, and $11 million in the Kapalua area. So let's recap. All right. So my recap is, with residential property, overall, we are down in sales with 643 sales total, down 11%. Median price has gone up by 2% to $772,500. And our total dollar sales is also down by 8% to $699,793,707. In condominiums, we have again had a decrease, a downward pressure to 830 units sold, or a total of 24% down from 1,090 units. The median sales price, however, also went up by 10% to $565,000. And the total volume of dollar volume sales is down for 2020 to $659,565.49. That's down 13%. And land sales are down 17%. Median sales price is down by 15%. And the total dollar sales volume is down by 38%. So I hope this helps. I hope this answers some of your questions. I know if you watch this and you're not a statistical fan, you might be saying, what does all of this mean? What it means is, if you're thinking about buying a resort condo, now could be a really good time because we've got lots of inventory and the market has been slow. If you're thinking about buying a home, now is a good time because you can get away from the mainland U.S. coronavirus and all of the craziness going on, but you're going to have to fight a little harder to get the right house in the right location, and the prices are going to be pretty strong. So hopefully I can help you out if you have a desire to be here in Maui, if you have a desire to sell something here in Maui, give me a call. I'd love to have a private, personal conversation with you, try to help you work through the program and figure out what works best for you. Is now the right time to buy? Is now the right time to sell? Or is now the right time to just sit still and wait? You know, with interest rates going out as low as I've ever seen them in my career, if you are a buyer and you're thinking, well, geez, it's going to cost me more to buy a house today, keep in mind that if you're getting a financing, that the value of the low interest rates are going to be substantial, and it may offset any premiums that you might think you're paying when you're purchasing a home. So, Tom Tezak with Wailea Realty, Windermere Real Estate, Lifestyle Maui team. Please reach out to me, 808-280-2055. You'll see my number on the video. Love to help you out and answer any questions you might have. Aloha from Maui, and have an amazing day.